There's a moment every man experiences, but almost nobody talks about. You're talking to a woman, and something about her energy feels different. She replies fast sometimes, then suddenly slow. She smiles at you longer than necessary. She remembers tiny details you mentioned weeks ago. She acts warm one day, distant the next. And you sit there wondering, does she actually like me? Or am I imagining all of this? Here's the truth most men never understand about female attraction. When a woman genuinely starts developing feelings for you, she rarely announces it directly. Instead, her behavior changes in subtle psychological ways that even she doesn't fully notice. And the reason this confuses men is because women experience attraction very differently than men do. Men usually feel attraction immediately. Women often feel attraction gradually, emotionally, layer by layer. That means the woman who seems uncertain about you today could secretly be thinking about you nonstop next month. And once you understand how female psychology actually works, you start noticing patterns most men are completely blind to. Because attraction for women is not usually logical. It's emotional. It's based on how you make her feel when she's around you, your presence, your energy, your emotional stability, the way you react under pressure, the way you handle silence, the way you carry yourself when you're not trying to impress her. And honestly, this is where most men destroy attraction without even realizing it. The moment they start liking a woman, they begin performing. They over-text, over-explain, over-compliment. They monitor every reply, every emoji, every delay. They slowly hand over their emotional center to someone who hasn't even earned that position yet. And women feel this instantly. Because female attraction responds very strongly to emotional energy. A man who feels grounded creates emotional safety. A man who feels desperate creates emotional pressure. That's why women often pull away from men who technically do everything right. The guy is nice, available, respectful, attentive, but something still feels off. Why? Because attraction is not built through constant validation. It's built through emotional tension, curiosity, and psychological presence. Think about the men women obsess over. Usually, it's not the man who chased hardest. It's the man who felt emotionally difficult to fully figure out. Not toxic, not manipulative, just emotionally centered, calm, unshaken. A man whose happiness clearly does not depend on female approval. That energy changes everything, because when a woman senses that you're genuinely comfortable with yourself, her brain starts viewing you differently. Suddenly, your words carry more weight. Your silence feels stronger. Your attention feels more valuable. And this is where women begin emotionally attaching themselves without even meaning to. Here's something fascinating about female psychology. Women constantly observe emotional details men ignore: your tone, your patience, your body language, your reactions when things don't go your way, whether you become needy under uncertainty, whether rejection changes your personality, whether you remain composed when situations become emotionally uncomfortable. These things matter far more than most men realize. In fact, one of the fastest ways to destroy attraction is emotional instability. The constant need for reassurance, the panic texting, the subtle desperation hidden behind good morning messages every single day, the excessive agreeing, the fear of disagreement, the nervous energy around silence, all of it communicates one dangerous message subconsciously. I need your validation to feel secure. And the moment a woman senses that, attraction begins weakening. Because female attraction naturally leans toward emotional strength, not emotional dependency. And no, emotional strength doesn't mean acting cold or emotionless. It means remaining centered even when emotions are involved. It means not collapsing emotionally every time her mood changes. It means not making her responsible for your confidence. This is why some men become unforgettable to women even without trying very hard. Their energy feels emotionally safe but also emotionally stimulating at the same time. They can be playful one moment, serious the next. Calm during pressure, confident without arrogance, interested without becoming obsessed. That emotional balance is incredibly rare, and rare things naturally become attractive. Let me tell you something women almost never admit openly. A woman becomes emotionally attached to a man when she starts associating him with emotional relief. Not excitement alone, relief, peace, emotional steadiness, the feeling that she can relax around him instead of constantly performing. That's why confidence matters so much. Real confidence is not loudness. It's not dominance. It's not bragging or pretending not to care. Real confidence is emotional composure. It's maintaining eye contact naturally, speaking slowly without rushing for approval, being comfortable with pauses in conversation, disagreeing calmly without becoming defensive, handling rejection without anger, and most importantly, staying emotionally consistent regardless of female validation. Women notice this immediately because emotionally grounded men feel rare today. Most men react emotionally to everything. A delayed reply changes their mood. A cold response ruins their confidence. One small sign of distance, and suddenly they begin chasing harder. But the men women become addicted to emotionally are usually the men who remain stable no matter what happens. Because stability creates trust, and trust creates emotional attachment. Now, here's where things get even deeper. When a woman genuinely starts liking you, she often becomes emotionally contradictory. One day she seems warm and invested. The next day, she pulls back slightly. Most men panic here and assume attraction is disappearing. But many times, the opposite is happening. She's feeling vulnerable, and vulnerability is uncomfortable, especially for women who've been hurt before. So subconsciously, she tests emotional safety. Not always intentionally. Sometimes she becomes quieter. Sometimes she takes longer to respond. Sometimes she watches how you react when things feel uncertain. And this is where most men fail completely. They start over-pursuing, overthinking, asking what's wrong every 5 minutes, seeking reassurance, trying harder to win her back. But attraction weakens the moment your emotional state becomes controlled by her reactions. The stronger move is emotional steadiness, calmness, giving her space without becoming cold, remaining secure without needing constant confirmation. Because when a woman notices that your confidence remains stable regardless of emotional fluctuations, something inside her relaxes psychologically. She starts trusting your presence, and trust is the foundation of deep female attraction. Here's another truth nobody explains properly. Women don't only fall for how you treat them, they fall for how you make them feel about themselves when they're around you. Around some men, women feel anxious, judged, or emotionally drained. Around emotionally grounded men, women feel calmer, softer, freer, and more feminine naturally. That emotional experience becomes addictive. She starts replaying conversations in her mind, thinking about your reactions, wondering what you're doing when you're not texting her, missing your energy without fully understanding why. And this is usually the moment when attraction shifts from curiosity into emotional investment. But this only happens when a man maintains his identity outside the woman. This is crucial. Never make one woman the center of your emotional universe too early. The men who lose attraction fastest are usually the men who abandon themselves the moment they meet someone they like. Their routines disappear, their focus disappears, their ambition weakens, their emotional world suddenly revolves around one person's attention. And ironically, that pressure suffocates attraction. Women feel safest around men who already feel emotionally complete without needing constant validation. That's what creates emotional polarity. A grounded man, a relaxed masculine presence, a man who enjoys connection but doesn't emotionally depend on it. That energy changes female behavior more than lines, tricks, or strategies ever will. And honestly, most attraction advice online completely misses this point. Attraction isn't about manipulation, it's about emotional mastery. It's about removing insecurity instead of adding performance. It's about becoming more calm, more purposeful, more disciplined, more socially alive, and more emotionally self-controlled. Because once a woman starts associating you with emotional safety, calm confidence, mystery, and consistency, She begins attaching herself naturally, not because you forced it, not because you convinced her, but because your presence feels emotionally different from most men she encounters. So if you truly want women to desire you, stop obsessing over what to say. Stop trying to perfectly calculate every interaction. Stop chasing certainty every second. Instead, focus on becoming emotionally grounded enough that your presence alone changes the emotional atmosphere around you. Because at the end of the day, women rarely fall for perfect words. They fall for emotional experiences. They fall for the man who feels calm in a chaotic world, the man whose confidence doesn't collapse under pressure, the man who remains centered while everyone else reacts emotionally. And once a woman experiences that energy consistently, she stops seeing you as just another man trying to impress her. You become the man she thinks about when the conversation ends, the man she compares others to without realizing it, the man whose absence suddenly feels noticeable. And that's when attraction becomes something much deeper than interest. That's when it becomes emotional attachment.